What if? Wait, it's fucking I didn't do bad.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back again. Another episode of the Xperts podcast brought to you by the Solid Power Networks, all rights reserved. This your boy Sanzo Matic, back in the building. My co-host X Factor. What's poppin', bro? That's good.
I think we're already excited for another week of cut up eyes be putting on y'all. Um, yeah, we got some surprisingly on a Tuesday night we got some live games going on. NFL is and NBA right now is going through a whole COVID shock wave, I guess. Every night you got 10, 15, 20 players going on. I guess what they call COVID IR or some list or something. So it's hard. I know y'all fantasy guys out there hard trying to keep up. Um, but yeah, we can do the best we could on this side. So I don't know how we could start with well, we didn't make no pick Sunday, see all the shines. But we still could get a quick rundown of the game or the games that took place on Saturday and Sunday. Um, yeah, let's start with the Saturday game, week 15. We got the Patriots and the Colts. Indianapolis was at home. It was a very good entertaining game, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, the Colts won. I know.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining game between two of the harder teams in the league. Uh, I thought Carson Wentz was masterful. He played a really, really good game. I
Stop
thought
it.
you just gotta get nigga credit, dog. I mean, he did what he's supposed to do.
What do you
Jonathan
do?
Taylor, Jonathan Taylor was fantastic as well. 67
Uh,
yard touchdown to clinch the game, basically.
okay.
Um, just a matchup between two of the harder teams in the league. You know, Patriots tried to make a little comeback uh, after being down a little big early, but uh, it just wasn't enough to get it done. So very entertaining game, like you say. Probably one of the more entertaining games this year. But you could make a case the better team won. What's your thoughts on that?
Of course not. Um, at the end of the day, the Patriots were outplayed and outcoached. Not because the team won means that they're the better team. They just played a better game that day. Carson Wentz, for his ball, is trash. I mean, against us, he's been okay, but the man was 5 for 12. That's under 50%. He threw for 57 yards. The man couldn't even crack 100 yards. He had one touchdown, but he had one interception. That sound like a good game. Thank God for Jonathan Taylor. At the end of the day, Jonathan Taylor is to right now healthy. Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in the league. There's no healthy running back in the
Certainly
league
playing
right
like the
now.
best.
So
Certainly playing like the best.
we got to give him his credit. The Patriots have a stiff defense, but if you still can score that much yards on a stiff defense, you do pretty good. So I got to give him his credit. Carrying that team. Um, Hopefully, we see them again in the playoffs, and you know what happens. But let's go on to Sunday matchups now because we only had one game Saturday because the next games were postponed due to COVID
Yep.
protocols. Um, right now we got Sunday matchups. Let's go Cowboys Giants. This game went the way we thought it would be. Cowboys beat the Giants. I wouldn't say easily, but in a way of where it wasn't no question. Cowboys was up from the first quarter, never looked back. Um, The Giants this year just isn't good. I see they shut down Daniel Jones now for the rest of the season with
Yeah.
his so-called neck injury. I don't know why you don't tug it out. Saquon is back there, but the man only could do so much. He can't run the balls 50, 60 times a game. So yeah, the Giants don't have much firepower left, and the Cowboys probably just need probably another game to lock up the division.
Yeah, they do. I mean, on the Giants front, why you carrying Danny Jones so hard though? What are you rushing to play for? They that in the midst of what they record is 4-10. Come on.
Yeah, but
No need. They've been injury prone all year. You know what I
boy.
mean? So we don't expect much of the Giants. But on the Cowboys end, they one step closer to that NFC East crown. Um, they 10-4 now, and this is sort of where at the beginning of the season we was talking about when we was projecting the Cowboys season. We saying they had to get at least 10 wins, um, and you know they sort of reached that threshold. Um, and I guess it's only up from here. They for what teams they played, they had a successful record. So we'll see how they look uh, coming down the stretch.
We'll see. Still trash, but we'll see. Next game we got Raiders Browns. Very interesting game. Um,
Yeah,
Raiders were able to pull it out by a late field goal. Now the Raiders and the Browns have the same record at 7-7. The Raiders, unfortunately, in Kansas City, the division, so it ain't looking good for them. But the Browns took a very, very big loss. That field goal right there took a toll on them because they're in a division where they fighting against the Bengals and the Ravens, and you can't be taking L's in this late half of the season. Sad to say, I feel like the Browns will have some shakeup this summer, especially if they don't make the playoffs. Coming off a season where you was one game away from basically making it to the Super Bowl and playing a hell of a game against Kansas City. Now you to scrapping third place in your division. Baker Mayfield is up for extension that they haven't given him already. So obviously, the team is looking elsewhere. And when you have a market for Jimmy G, you got a market for a far shot for Aaron Rodgers, and you have multiple other QBs who's going to be on the market this year. Let's say a Jameis Winston, let's say a Cam Newton. Like a lot of QBs are going to be on the market this year. Um, I feel like they're going to shoot their shot. And then if they don't get it, then they're going to try and come back to Baker. If I was Baker, hey, big man, if you don't give me that contract in the first week of free agency, cheapest you don't call me no more. Because number one, you done as Cleveland. I ain't too hard to come back here anyway. And number two, boy, if you shoot your shot for Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy G and miss, boy, you better go to the draft. Because eyes them tight. If I ain't number one, I definitely ain't gonna be number two.
well, how I look at it like this, right? And that's a question for you, right? If they blow it up, I mean, or if they make changes, we assume that the biggest change they probably would make is Baker, right? Besides Aaron Rodgers, any of these other quarterbacks that much better than Baker to where you feel as if you have to pull the trigger?
Excuse you?
Again, we talk about Cleveland, right?
You forget.
It's not a
You forget.
free agent destination.
Yeah, but lately it has been. It has been a big name destination. You got an OBJ at one point. You still have Miles Garrett there. You got Jadavian Clowney to come down there. You got Kareem Hunt to come down there. Like you got Jarvis Landry to come down there. Austin Hooper to come down there. So like recently, surprisingly, Cleveland has been gathering talent. And then you is one name I didn't call that people forget, but his name is going to be hot after the Super Bowl. And you got Deshawn Watson. Deshawn Watson, I feel, could go to Cleveland. And with that run game and Jarvis Landry and that people's guy coming into his own with
Chris Jones.
that defense that they have, especially that front line. If they could retain Clowney and Garrett on the end, put anybody in the middle. And then the only thing they got to do, Denzel Ward coming back healthy. The only thing they got to do is get themselves another safety and a linebacker in the draft. And that could be a Super Bowl team if Deshawn Watson gets the hell out of Houston. And because they have two running backs, you could put a Kareem Hunt, a first round pick, a couple other things in a package to trade for Deshaun Watson and not lose your elite running game because you will still have Nick Chubb. Or if you feel like Nick Chubb wants too much money, you could send him to Houston, who should have plenty of money because they ain't paying nobody, and you still could keep Kareem Hunt, and you still have a mobile quarterback. So there's plenty of options out there. So Baker, if I was him, from you see how I put this, from you see a privileged quarterback not being signed the extension, you know you're in a tight. Usually you'd see this with the unprivileged set, the Cam Newtons, the Jameis Winstons. They'll be the set who, oh, you gotta prove yourself to get contract extension. But from you see the light skinned boys, he ain't getting the contract, boy, you in a tight. That means fellas really ain't full.
Dudes. The fair skin dudes, yeah.
Yeah, he better get it together or he can get lost.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I don't know. Like I don't see them keeping Baker. But like you say, it all comes down to if they could get a better QB, right? And even if it's not a significantly better QB, if it's just a better fit, right? Because I'm sure that Baker doesn't have a lot of fans in that Cleveland locker room as it stands. So if you could just get a better fit, a different personality, a guy that dudes can rally behind, like a Jameis, right? Like a Jameis, a guy that dudes can actually rally behind and play for, then that may catapult your team to a different level. So we'll see. Baker, I don't think his days as a starting quarterback is done in the NFL, but I think NFL, you got a window. We always talk about windows, and it'd be interesting to see how long his window lasts. Very interesting to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another game we got. This was a game last night. This game upset me to the core. We had the Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. This game almost cost me couldn't sleep. Now, for y'all who don't know, or the fans that out there, shout out Island Luck, Sportsbook. We need a little extra spot if you want to pass through, we can help the brothers out. But shout out Island Luck Sportsbook. They start now sports betting, right? And I say, at least one quarter was going to go scoreless. So I say, watching the game now, they scored the first quarter, boom. Both teams scored the second quarter, boom. Minnesota scored the third quarter. So the score was 17-3. The whole fourth quarter, no one scored. The last 40 seconds, the score is 17-3. You have no way of winning this game. Why wasn't they kneeling? Why would Chicago drive down the whole length of the field and score a touchdown at the buzzer? Like this here, and I talking about a touchdown was like literally they had to review it because they thought it was on the 1 yard line. And I was like, bro, you just cost me like 300. Like, bro, why would you even drive down the field knowing you have no chance to win? Like, kneel the ball, post you got someone injured. Like, you're boy. I was like, boy, everything cool. Obviously, the odds were against me that night because they didn't want me to win. But shout out Minnesota. We know they're on and off team. They still trash, but they on and off. But they beat the team that they should have been beat. Shout out to Justin Jefferson. I think he's a Pro Bowler this year. Good work, good job, especially in the offense where you came in and take over. Because this is the same offense that Stephon Diggs wasn't happy with because Thielen was taking his shine and becoming the number one. So for a rookie, well, this is second year, but last year he still was starring. For a rookie to come in on his first year and take wide receiver one over, and then in the second year continue to maintain that level. Uh, that's great to see. So shout out Justin Jefferson. Glad to see him becoming a. I say he would be an elite quarterback. I mean, an elite wide receiver next season. A
He's on the door for
top
sure.
10.
He's on the door for
Yeah,
sure.
right now he's on the door, top 10. Next year he'll definitely be a
Yeah.
top 10 wide receiver in the league or top 7.
Gee, what's good?
Everything good, like. I love rules and fantasy. That's true.
No. That wasn't fantasy. That was sports betting.
He going
Oh,
better. He going better bag on Dude's Garen Scoreless in the quarter. The
But
middle about
Chicago,
never.
anyway.
He betting on score. He betting on the Vikings. Vikings and Bears. The bill about debit.
But the odds are so good. The odds are so good. It was only like $5, and I could have win 300. Like, wait, I don't know. The Bears just poor management all the time. When you're supposed to score a touchdown, you can't score now. Now the game over, you want to drive down and make a statement. But yeah, it ain't cool. But yeah, that was a good game. The next game we had, which was a definitely good game, Packers and Ravens. Packers and
Very good game.
Ravens came down to the wire. Um, and for me, it was a very good game because I needed the Ravens to lose to keep the Patriots, in them top seeds in the AFC. As much as I don't like Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, when he beat the AFC team, I can pull for him. So I actually pulled for the Packers that game. Surprisingly, Huntley had to start because Lamar Jackson was unable to go. But even in a he played a hell of a game. That young fella was
Very
out
well.
there balling. He threw it for over
Very
200
well.
yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he was
Round for 2.
yeah, he ran for 2 touchdowns and had like 73 yards. So it's like Hadley really showed out that he could be and that's key too. What people don't realize is your backup quarterback should be able to mirror your starting quarterback. You can't have a starting quarterback like Lamar Jackson and then have a backup quarterback like Blake Bortles or some sit in the pocket type quarterback because it like throws off the offense. But when you have a running, scrambling QB as your starter, and then you have a similar QB, so he can actually slide into that offense and keep the ball rolling. So even though in a loss, they was able to still put up 30 points, and he was able to do his job. Now the problem is the defense gave up 31, but
Yep.
it is what it is. But he did it. He did his job, and he kept the offense ticking because he has similar skill set. Maybe not at the elite level like Lamar Jackson, but he has very similar skill sets to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Shout out Huntley. He definitely played out of the game. And like you said, it came down to the last wire. Came down to 5 seconds. What was your thoughts on the 2 point conversion called by Harbaugh? This is the second time in I believe
typical.
3 weeks that
You don't learn.
he's tried this, and you know
I
I just
thought
don't understand why. I mean, I sort of understand why. You're playing against Aaron Rodgers. You're playing against the Green Bay Packers, best team in the NFL. You don't want to go to OT. I sort of understand, but why did you think that was going to like? You done it in a slide. Like your team already in a bit of a slide, right? Why not try to secure this win by any means necessary? It's not like you're at the point where you can give away wins. You know?
and that's my thing precisely. Like that's precisely why you should not have tried it. That and the fact that you just tried it previously and it didn't work. Like, why are you so gutsy? Like, I mean,
It,
yeah, you're
it,
playing against Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback, but what you scared Aaron Rodgers, that kind of says how much you believe in the team. If you're saying that we can't win in overtime,
And
so
then if you believe in momentum was all on the Ravens side.
I
If
think
you believe in it.
I think he does it because he's trying to say, I believe in my team. Let's go for it. But I think if you believe in the team, you would not go for it. I think you would take the safe bet and you would say, my team's going to pull out in overtime. I, I, can 2 consecutive times, bro, for the game. I mean, I just don't understand. I thought it was him just saying, but I got Lamar Jackson, so let's roll. But he didn't even have Lamar Jackson this time, and he still got for it. So I don't understand his logic with that one. That one was worse than the first play call, but with Lamar Jackson.
The problem I see with situations like this, and it happens all over sports, it happens when you got someone who is very, very comfortable. It happens not even just in sports, it's even like on the job or whatever. Like when you got someone who in a position that's very comfortable, they make certain calls because they believe that okay, even if I lose, what y'all gonna do? Like that's his mentality. Like I seen it many times. That's why people don't. That's why I keep telling them the respect that people should have for Belichick, they don't. Belichick could be the winningest coach, could do all these things, and he still will come out here and play a very simple game. He don't come out here and say, "Oh well, I've been successful all this year. Let me air it out." Like even Tom Brady got to that point of frustration to say that, "Hey, right now is the GOAT, and you still don't let me air it out. Why?" And he's like, "But listen, this is how I operate." So you got things like, look at this guy, Harbaugh, making these type of calls. If he was a coach who was on the hot seat, or if he was a coach who was early in his career, he definitely wouldn't be making these calls.
He'd do
Same thing
everything
with
by the book.
guys like, same thing with guys like Pete Carroll when he did that Super Bowl call. Any other coach, and the fact that he still have a job is amazing. But any other coach, almost any other coach, 95% of the other coaches, if they made that call in the Super Bowl with Marshawn Lynch as your running back on the 2 yard line, they would not have survived that offseason. They would have been packing. They would have been gone. So these guys who have these extreme powers in these organizations as coaches, they've given too much leeways, and that's what I look in basketball when you have guys like, let's say, Doc Rivers. When you hire Doc Rivers as a coach, he won't be operations manager too, president of basketball thing. And what he does, first of all, he
He knows
signed
how
his
to run
son.
operations.
He signed his son everywhere you go.
I
Trash.
don't know what you keep saying.
Then, then after that, he comes and he
You have
brings in
his,
all type of
you have his son-in-law now.
yeah. You won't bring your son-in-law in
Yeah.
there. Then you bring in Washer
He's
Paul
his son dog
Pierce.
at
Like
job though.
Yeah,
you make yeah,
Yeah.
you would. But you make decisions because you look at it like what they can do. You waste Chris Paul prime, you waste Blake Griffin prime, you waste DeAndre Jordan career. You waste you waste guys who you could have that was an easy championship team.
yeah,
Easily
that
a
was a
championship team.
championship team.
And that's what you get. Even when you look at guys in their like even good coaches, like let's say Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson at a point in time, if you look back to his earlier years with Jordan and Pippen in Chicago, you would see him standing up, walking the baseline, can on bad, whistling, doing that two-finger whistle thing he's do. And Phil Jackson last year, especially when he came back the second time when we got Paul Gasol, that man wouldn't even get a body chill. We could have gotten beat by 50 points, and Phil would have said, but you know, I only here to collect this paycheck and bring out the boss daughter, right? Like, like I only hear a sweet girl tell me slide through, you know. I ain't really do yet to do nothing too much.
Okay, so we already know coaches have a short leash. Are you encouraging organizations to shorten the leash even further for head coaches? You think that that would result in better decision making, or at least safer decision making?
Yeah, because they sure shorten the leash for players. Look at guys like Cam them. You gone out of your way to sign this man in the middle of the season. And the second he choke up, you put him back on the bench. Why would I sign a QB in the middle of the season like I need him? And then in the middle of the game, I can bench him. I might as well put one little rookie in there, let him throw all type of interception and bench him. Why would I bring you here in Carolina, in your home, well, your initial team, and embarrass you by benching you again? I might as well leave you as a free agent, bro. Same thing with like guys around the league. Like players got a very short leash. If you don't go there and perform week in, week out, or if you come on, especially like guys like Belichick, you see why we always have that running back rotation. You fumble a ball or you getting stopped at the line of scrimmage, you might as well sit on the bench the rest of the game because Belichick he ain't even gonna look at you no more. So if players are held to this type of level, like how come coaches could go on and continue this the second time, like you say, this season that he has made the same call when you had opportunities to tie the game At least go into overtime, get yourself a fighting chance. You
Yeah.
make these bad calls, you lose the game, and then okay, next week let's see what you can do again, and everything.
Yeah, I think
Knowing
especially
that Lamar Jackson was out, come on, man.
with football, it's a little worse than basketball, in my opinion, in terms of like coaches. They definitely need to take a little bit more responsibility because they control basically every play call. Like, I mean, in basketball, you got a little bit more autonomy. Your best players sometimes they just say, let me clear out, let me do my thing. In football, in key situations like that, it's like, all right, I gotta make this call as a coach, right? What we gonna do? We gonna do kick for field goal or 2 point conversion or whatever, And yeah, it's like you say. I mean, it doesn't mean much if they still have a successful season. Right now, probably not. But my thinking is again, like you're already in a little bit of a slide. Like you got to try see if you can secure some wins in a tough conference, and you know you're losing ground in the conference now because the Pats still playing great. The Chiefs now looking like the Chiefs. So a conference that you once was looking as one of the favorites in, now things looking a little shaky. So
I think too it's different in football and basketball because in football every possession is more valuable than the possessions in basketball, right? You're gonna get a possession back in basketball. You're always gonna get, for the most part, an opportunity to make up what you the mistake you just made. In football, the possessions are so valuable, especially coming down the stretch. Yeah, it should make it even tougher to make decisions like that. But I guess not for Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I don't get why he's so loose with his decision making. But like you say, at the
he
end
just
of
don't
the
give
day,
a.
at the end of the day, if they if they manage to end the season with a good enough record to make the playoffs, would it even matter? Would he make
Yeah,
it? Would he make that call in the playoffs though?
that's the question. That would he make that call in the playoffs? I would say no. I'd say no. I don't think any. I don't think any. I don't really think any coach really makes that call unless they're 100% confident that's going to happen, and then you're not 100% confident that it will happen unless you see some deficiencies in the defense from earlier, I guess, that maybe gives you the confidence. Because if you're a coach in the playoff scenario, you know it's one and done, so you know that uh, you need to give your team a chance to compete for the W and not rely on maybe a 50-50 scenario.
Right.
So it's a tough call to make. Regular season or playoffs is a tough call to make, but in the playoffs, that's a good question. I don't know if he makes that call in the playoffs.
I don't think so. If he does, I don't see. I think his, like X Factor said about the leash. I think his leash, every coach's leash gets shorter in the playoffs because the possessions are magnified, and you hone in on every single possession, every single decision you make. Everyone's watching, so I think every coach's leash gets shorter in the playoffs, and I don't think he has the pull to make that call and survive the off season in the playoffs. I don't
Yeah,
think so. I think that's just by this season. We could afford to lose one. That's just
yeah, we
it.
can afford to give away one. That's just, even though in my opinion they couldn't afford, but we could afford to give away one. Let's go to a game that was I guess the shock of the week. Um, well, the shock of probably the season. I say
I
of
was
the
about
week.
to say that's the upset of the season right there.
This upset of the season. So you have the best team in the NFL playing the worst team in the NFL, and they get blowed. They ain't just lose. They get marched straight down. Um, so the
Okay.
Lions beat up on the Cardinals.
I guess the question is, and who do you give credit to? Obviously, credit goes out to the Lions, blah 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 blah. Blah. But like, who do you really give credit to? Like, what caused this game? We always said the Lions are not playing like like their record, right? They had a lot
Yeah,
of close games. They played quality ball for most of the season. They just can't get a win. It's not like they playing like the Jags or like the Jets.
Mhm.
So they're not that bad of a team. So who do we really give credit to? Do we say like the Lions had this potential the entire time, or do we just say
Hell no.
Arizona coming off a loss and their head was a little foggy and they wasn't prepared for this game?
I would say they wasn't prepared. I mean, but at the end of the day, you give credit to the winners. Kyler Murray did say the Giants was more prepared. I mean, the Lions was more prepared. He did say they came up more ready and more hungrier. Even though that's that cliche talk uh, coming to play. But I mean, in general, you gotta give credit to the team to spank you, right?
Yeah.
But you're the best team in the NFL. Not anymore. But record wise, you were the best team in the NFL. How do you lose a game like this? And how do you lose like almost to the point where it ain't competitive? Is the question. This late into the season, is that a worrisome thing for the Cardinals, or do you think it's just nothing?
I was watching the game and it wasn't even just like usually the Lions are competitive on the offensive end, right? I don't think they had Swift this game, but they're usually competitive on offensive end. But it was that defense last
Hmm.
this game that was so impressive. So I always just judge a team by the defense, right? The offense, everyone is a player. You could get lucky. Defenses can mess up, right? And then you could get a big touchdown. But defensively, you got to be really good to do a big, show defensively. So I honestly give the Lions more credit than I do take away from the Cardinals. I just think the Lions are always the most quality bad team, if that makes sense. I
Yep.
mean, if you think about the
Yeah.
bottom bowl teams, I always thought that they were the best ones, and they just came out defensively and they was ready. I don't know, I don't know how else to put it. I guess too, Kyler Murray. I'm still trying to recover from because Kyler sit out what at least 3 games.
Hmm.
Hopkins was out for a stretch too. They had a ton of injuries, and they just came back last game. So I
Yeah.
do think they was a little foggy. But let's put it this way:
Fall back
if
a
that
little
was
bit.
the Jags, if that was the Jets, if that was one of them other bottom bowl teams, that wasn't gonna happen.
I believe that too. Like again, and now I mean things sort of normalize a little bit now because the Jags are now the worst team in NFL record wise, right? Which seems more indicative of how we thought this season is going, right? We
Right,
don't think the Lions are the worst team,
right,
right? And if it was any of the bottom dwellers that had a chance against a top team, I think all of us would have said the Lions.
yeah.
Um, but with that being said, um, we were the Cardinals, and after starting the season about 7-0, they've lost 4 of their past 7 after starting the season 7-0.
I do
So it's
think
like, okay,
I think that stretch when all of them are out is still have them a little foggy. Obviously, that kills their momentum a lot, a ton. But no, I think they just need a game or two to get it back. I don't think it takes a long time, half a season, to get your momentum back. It just takes a big win. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, I've seen throughout that game too, where Murray and AJ Green was had some communication issues once again, and that
hmm,
cost them a game previously. So I mean, I just think, like you say, they foggy and they're gonna catch themselves eventually.
yeah. That's the hope. You know, what I mean, I don't expect us to uh, linger on much longer than this, but it is a slight cause for concern. At the end of the day, I'll give them a bye because they've been record wise again the best team all season. But down the stretch, you definitely want to win games that are winnable.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. They thought that was a automatic win for them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they thought that. I thought that was automatic. I mean, I think 98% of people would have predicted.
I mean, even at halftime, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. they can catch themselves and they could they can fix it. They can fix the score.
Yeah.
And the Lions interception after interception, and I was like, bro, they have the playbook or something. Like I've never seen that defense play like that. That defense was very very impressive.
Yeah. Uh, we have the next one. We have the Carolina Panthers versus the Buffalo Bills. Um, Pretty easy one for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
Um,
and I didn't expect Cam to play as good of a game as he played.
yeah,
Cam actually played a pretty good game.
for his
I
standards.
Yeah, I mean I would expect him to play 1 2 quarters and then they bring on PJ like how they've been doing. But Cam actually played a really good game. Was it as competitive? I thought it would have been more competitive, but
Mhm.
maybe Cam is coming coming down to earth and coming back home now. Maybe because the Bills do have one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, and then I mean, that's well, okay. Let's look at it like this. He played a decent game. Looking at the stats now, 18 for 39. Not great, but not horrible. He had a rushing touchdown,
Nothing would cause him to get benched. He had 1 interception, right?
one interception, one
And that
interception.
interception came in the final play of the game. Like
Yeah,
they already lost, so he didn't throw an interception the entire game. He was
yeah,
pretty safe. The game, like I said, wasn't that close, but it was close enough,
yeah.
and he didn't
And then
get benched.
you're talking about they let the kicker went out early, Gonzalez.
Right.
So you're
So
talking
that was a
about,
struggle.
yeah, converting on 4 downs. So that makes up a few points here and there. Maybe makes the game look a little bit closer than it actually is on the final score. So not a bad game for him, like you say. Is it enough to win against maybe a decent team, middle of the park team? It probably is. Again, you're missing the kicker who could give you a few points on the board. Uh, but uh, yeah, not a bad game from Cam. But what do you think the mindset is um, that the Panthers do have as it pertains to Cam going into the stretch of the season, the end of the season, and then going into next season?
That's a
Because
good
they haven't really
question.
been that successful.
No, they
They won
haven't.
the first game and they lost ever since. Uh,
And I think at least let me start with this. Cam's perception is, listen, I just need to find a way to stay in the rotation, right? And as sad as that is, because they like Lou said, they got him. They went out and signed him in the middle of the season, and told him straight off the back he's a starting quarterback. And now
yeah,
they're not showing as much faith in him as we all would have accepted. So we all would have expected. Sorry. So for him, I know it's a shocker, and like we always say, it's always tough when you have someone behind you who could come and take your spot in any given moment. So for him, he just trying to stay safe and trying to stay in the rotation. For the Panthers entirely, I have no idea. Is this an official quarterback competition? Are we really doing this? Are we saying that these two are gonna have to compete for the spot next year, and not just two because they still have Sam Donald come back next year.
yeah.
If
He's
you
come back.
really
He's
don't
come
have that
back.
much faith, so if you really don't have that much faith in Cam, is this a quarterback competition with three quarterbacks for next year? Are y'all is the competition this season? You know what I mean? Are you gonna
Yeah.
start PJ or give PJ some minutes next game to see how he plays and also determine who's the quarterback next year? Like I don't understand their position or their direction at this point.
It's definitely a difficult position to be in, like you say, for Cam. And then as a whole, like even when they brought back Cam, I mean, I thought it was a feel good story, but like you say, Sam Donald is still there. You know what I mean? So you wonder, like, you was just high on him early in the year,
Hmm.
okay, and now all of a sudden, like, what was your expectation, right? It seems seems very weird. It seems as if maybe they felt as if Cam would have stolen the show as soon as he
Right.
came back and made the decision to as to who's the starting quarterback much easier than it is right now. Like if comes back and sets the league on fire, without a doubt, no one would object to Cam being the starting quarterback. But now
Precisely.
that he hasn't, which to me is reasonable considering his long layoff, and you throw him in the middle in the season,
Hmm.
now you actually have to think about how you want to move forward with this position. And it'll be an interesting battle next year for sure as to who um, would get a starting quarterback job. But like you said, for Cam, his mindset is just let me just make enough plays to where I can stay relevant. Um, I can show people I can still play, and you know, you go from there.
Yeah. As we said, we even I remember you specifically saying that the Panthers would have been a good fit for him to come back. You have a Pro Bowl running back. You have a solid defense. You have a solid wide receiver core. Their quarterback position is really their I don't say their weakest, but their most controversial position.
Yep.
And yeah, that's really one that they have to figure out. And so that's the main storyline going into every game going into next season. Like who's going to start for us at quarterback? Who's going to be the legitimate starter, not the starter who we start, and if he start playing by we bench him. Like not that kind of starter. Like who's going to be the legitimate starter for next season? And so far, we don't have a glimpse of who that could possibly be.
Yeah. So that's that much we'll have to wait and see on and see which direction that goes in. Um, in the battle of the toilet bowls, you have the Texans and the Jaguars. Not much really needs to be said about this game, other than the fact that the Jaguars are officially the worst team again in the NFL. Um,
all is right with the world.
all is right with the world. Like, I mean, that's the only thing that would make sense. Like if we could take one thing away from the season that actually makes complete sense. Someone told you before the season the Jaguars would be the worst team in the NFL. I think everybody would be like, well, that's not like that. That's
Yeah.
possible. It's not like that. That definitely makes sense. And yeah, so it looks like they'll comfortably settle into that role. Uh, yeah, not much need to be said about that. Um, let's talk about Sean. Let's talk about it's Dolphins and Jets. Because again, this is another matchup that I guess on paper you would say is a toilet bowl matchup, but I just want to give the Dolphins some props, man. I mean, after starting the season 1-7, you know, they are now 500. Um, on a 6 game winning streak, and Tua has been playing some really good football, some really really good football. So,
Stop it. Stop it.
what's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that?
Uh,
I wouldn't say really good football. Now. You always get all the like they listen. They winning games. That's about it. Ain't no toward doing nothing special. Number one, like come on, man. The guy throwing like 50%. He still didn't throw for 200 yards, and he had two interceptions. Like, let's be realistic. Yeah, the Dolphins on a good win streak, right? But listen to this: who the Dolphins play? They play the Jets. They play the Giants. They play the Panthers. They play the Jets again. They play the Texans. They play the Falcons. Like, come on, bro. Don't make it
yeah.
seem like dog them.
Yeah. Oh, we ain't saying this to 71 Dolphins. We put they beating who in front of them. Like,
They beat
Yeah,
the
but
Ravens. They beat the Ravens too.
yeah, they beat the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Like,
He
come
is there.
on. Nah, come on, man. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Because the Dolphins can go and get if they make the playoff. First of all, I don't see them still making the playoffs. Because these last two games, I think they got Tennessee and well, they got the Saints first, which is that easy
That's a
game.
winnable game.
It's a winnable game. Then they
Winnable
get the
game.
Titans. They get the
Winnable
Titans.
game.
Not for the Dolphins. And then at the end they get the Patriots. Don't forget, like I said, the winnable games that they've been winning was against the Jets twice, the Panthers, the Giants, the Texans. And then they had the Ravens in there. They kept sleeping. But my thing
Now
is,
listen.
bro, you got three big teams coming. If you really want to make this playoffs and prove everybody wrong, go 10-7. Win these
Now
next three
listen.
games.
I know you want to call the Saints a big team just because they smashed your boy the other day. They ain't no big team, brother. That's a winnable game. All right. It's a winnable game. All right. Now the Pats game, that's probably the most guaranteed loss I can say that on there, even though they do play the Pats well. Um, but the names you just called, I see a chance to go 2-1 down the stretch. I see a good legitimate chance to go 2-1.
I
I
doubt
ain't say
it.
they could do it, but I see a legitimate chance to go 2-1 down the stretch. So we'll see.
I highly doubt it. But yeah. And talking about, I don't know, y'all ain't reached that game yet, right? Because
What?
y'all can't be serious. Talking about Bucks and Saints.
No, we ain't reached that game yet.
Let's
We
let's
ain't gonna get to that game if you ain't
yeah.
on yet. I need you
No
to be on
man,
yet. So I get before I get to that game.
Mm.
we getting to
Trust
that
me.
right now. Trust me,
If
we
you
can get to
you
that
gonna
right
log
now.
off you gonna log off till tomorrow and tell them listen we addressing that and tell us wake up back on. Trust me on that.
Listen, we on this game
Uh
right now. Let's talk about that right now. Saints and
yeah,
Buccaneers.
let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that game. Like I say, it's sad to see. Yo, you know what y'all just remind me of? Y'all just remind me of like Jordan haters and stuff like that. Like probably in 72 and 10 days, like, but you lose 10 games? But come on, man, how you could be the GOAT and you losing 10 games? Like really? Like, let's be real here. Everybody who watched this game, you could see what's going on. These fellas, I don't even know how they even keep it together at this point. But all season, almost everybody but Tom Brady has been dropping like flags. Like literally, for the guy who's one of the oldest on the team, he sure is one of the most durable. He really need to promote that. What he is beyond that jungle juice thing. He is beyond not keto. He on like a some no sugar, no carb type thing. What he's be doing with his trainer. He need to promote that to everybody else because Gronk has missed time this season, injury. Um, Mike Evans can't get his hamstring straight. Gordon obviously
Agreed.
had a bad hit on Gordon. Like my thing is, we have already established football is the ultimate team sport.
Yeah, but
Don't ever tell me that next man up garbage when you have elite players and
uh
you have rookie backups and regular players, bro.
okay, but don't make it seem like he ain't in the most protected position on the field now. I mean, like, dude barely just got hit compared to the other ones. You
It
just
doesn't
called
matter.
out.
It's the fact that he still isn't injured compared to the rest of the players. We have quarterbacks in the league who've been injured all season. Lamar Jackson can't stay on the field.
My Jackson can't stay in the pocket. I
Kyler
mean, like,
Murray can't stay on the field.
Kyler Murray can't stay in the pocket. I mean, like, Tom
But
Brady is one
who
of
fault
the
these guys
most
is
protected quarterbacks
no.
in the
Y'all like to
league.
make it seem like see, use a Peyton Manning fan. You
No,
like to
but
make it seem
I
like
don't.
it's the same thing. If you look at NFL history, who has the quickest ball out hand in the NFL history?
Tom Brady ain't one. He's number two.
So it ain't like old dog getting 7, 8 seconds in the back there, bro.
Yeah,
He just
I agree.
smart enough to know that
Right,
hey,
I
even if I
agree.
have a big line, I only need to take one hit and I in a wheelchair.
I agree a hundred
Like real
percent.
talk. Tom
But what
Brady
I'm
one hit away
it
from a wheelchair.
and that's credit to him and credit to his coaches. What I'm
That's great
saying
them.
is that's the reason why he doesn't get injured, not his no sugar diet.
No. Obviously, that plays a part too when you are 43, 44 years old, bro. Let's be realistic. Y'all fellas, anyway, this is a whole different, what time it is, because we can get on another side. It's y'all fellas stress cracking
Hey,
30,
no,
and
listen,
y'all can't keep up with young
right,
fellas, but
but
that's a whole
listen,
other story, Quaylen. I
but
don't think you here for this yet, but I can update you in a minute. But this man is 43, 44,
Yeah,
playing
that's
with world-class
you,
athletes.
listen,
World class.
me never say you hold on.
You
I
see in
feel like
golf,
you
you know.
making it seem like, but you making it seem like our argument is Dooney and the goat. Yeah, he's the goat,
Oh
but
no,
the goat is get the
I don't
goat
even
is
I don't even argue that no more.
right. But my point is the goat is getting things. Like that's all you trying to say. The
Yeah,
he
but
goat
don't
get
won
it
make it
games
things.
seem
last night.
He
don't
get it
make it
things.
seem like this was a fair fight. And then on top of that, like y'all was saying, oh, Brady doing like, he ain't like he gonna then throw 3-4 interceptions. Man throw one interception and still throw over 200 yards and had a
Yeah,
chance
and this,
still to win the game at the end of the game. Like
yeah,
they still in
interception. He had
it.
a fumble. He had sacked how much times?
Now, what do you want him to do? He can't control how much sacks he get.
So now he can't control. He get him, how much time he get him in field goal range?
Hey,
I
but
don't know.
you know
You
what
know?
I said.
Hey, and the boy missed the field goal. You want him to go there and kick too? What a
But
phrase, boy,
you know what
dog.
I said about this? You know what I said about this? I said, boy, this really the social media era, boy, because they used to do the same thing to LeBron. But you see LeBron have a bad game, all the work was out. This your goat, this your king,
Me,
this your everything. I mean, just people in general, like this is what
boy,
we
I
do
mean,
for someone to
as,
be considered to be the best.
as
no,
much
but
as I don't like
that's my
LeBron,
question.
I still don't jump the gun when he had bad games. You know when I get on LeBron? When he lose in the playoffs, when he lose in the finals, when he lose, or when in the off season he begging for man,
As if he ain't never
or
supposed to
whatever.
lose, right?
But my thing is, you ain't that you're never supposed to lose, right? But you can't lose more than you win, bro. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic to go on, right? But let's be real. Like me personally, like I said, I don't know about LeBron haters for true. It's come out for any little thing. He turn over the ball, fellas tell him say, man, come on, man. And you can turn over a basketball. So I understand where you coming from. But with Brady, like all season, y'all was around here talking about, oh, he's MVP candidate.
Yeah, he still is.
He
Nah,
still
the
MVP
bad
candidate.
come and lose all the wide receivers and he running backs
Hmm.
and still throw for 200 yards. Now all of a sudden, oh, Brady getting things. Like, what? But I can't,
He get
you're
it take.
But
Is that not the truth? Did he not get it takes?
it,
Nigga, he
the
score.
the point is those two things can be right at the same time.
They
He
are
could
right.
still be MVP and getting things at the same time. That's all
Get
we're
it
trying to say.
takes. I specifically said as the game was going down in the third quarter, I said Tom Brady is be fighting some serious demons when he playing against New Orleans. For whatever reason,
Yeah.
there are certain teams you play in every sport. They just have your number. For whatever reason. Right? For whatever reason, there are certain teams, they just whatever they just have your number.
I agree.
And New Orleans, uh Cam Jordan, those for some reason they have Tom Brady's number. For some reason. It's a very, very weird situation. But for some reason they have now in a playoff matchup would I pick them to beat Tampa Bay? Of course not.
No.
Right?
I mean,
Especially
when
if
it
Taysom Hill is a
matters,
quarterback.
I
Right?
mean, Drew Brees
Because
was the
Taysom Hill ain't
quarterback
really
and they still lose.
yeah, Taysom Hill ain't even really play a good game. He probably played a worse game than Tom Brady.
He
And
did.
he went,
They still
right?
He actually did.
Right?
dude don't even do the ball, man. He's kind of
Right? So he probably played a worse game than Tom Brady. He went. But my point is, um, it's amazing, just for one night, just to see uh, Brady lose. And we like to, love like to come over with all this talk about passion and all that foolishness. Uh, I saw a lot of the cry baby stuff he's talking about with Aaron Rodgers. Thank you. That's what I saw. I
How?
saw a nigga crying to the ref, cursing out the people on the other bench after he get blown. Why you don't curse out Cam Jordan? You
person
curse out the
people with
coach
tablets.
in versus the tablet. I saw a lot of crying baby on the sideline there. I know what you. But that didn't sound to be like the consummate professional you always make video to be.
First of all,
But
notice when I say cry baby, when I mean Aaron Rodgers is a cry baby, I talking about to the media. I don't put in the game. In the game, you could always see his facial expressions. Like that part of it is passion. When you in the heat of the moment and you in the heat of the game, that's different. Now, when you come after the game and then you come with all that wah 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 wah, that's when I be like, but ain't nobody on air. That's like LeBron. Yeah, okay, you be in the game, and even Jordan them used to ask for fouls or say, listen, you missed calls X Y Z. But don't come up on the podium running on, but oh well, it was a winnable game if we had anything to do with it. So you can just play the 48 minutes. What you mean if you had anything to do with it? But yeah, Brady does get animated in games. I kind of like it, but I saw people comparing it to OBJ throwing tantrums on the sideline when in act like I look at intent in a way, when it comes to this passion. I'm saying Brady was right for it, whatever. But it's a difference of when I freaking out because I know I doing foolishness, or I freaking out because you doing foolishness. So if I tripping out and I saying, but I having a bad game, and I on the sideline saying, but listen, but you was trash, but like, come on, man, you should have been prepared for this. You know these guys can pass rush you. You should have been doing better. Rather than OBJ over there saying, oh, my quarterback don't give me the ball. Or my quarterback, like, Brady don't call out his teammates when he does these things. Brady doesn't embarrass his teammates or say, oh, well, the reason why we lose is because these fellas ain't catching the ball, or this guy dropping the ball, or this running back fumble the ball.
No,
He
he don't
makes
do that.
he actually says it's his fault. Like I got to make these throws. My timing is off. I got to do better. So I mean, it's still I don't give him right for throwing tantrums, but in my eyes, I've like I said, he did game. We play sports. In my eyes, I don't give it the same wrong as OBJ when it comes to you throwing your quarterback under the bus. Oh, I've been open down the field many times and he overshoots me, or he underthrows me, or he can't find me. Like, okay, bro. Well, okay. So yeah, whatever. Brady chose his tantrum every now and again, but it is what it is. And then it comes with the winning territory too. The difference is if Brady throw tantrums and then still make the playoffs and still be a fighting factor, you let it slide. OBJ won't throw tantrums and then dropping balls and losing games in Cleveland. Now you notice he ain't throw no tantrum yet in Los
In
Angeles.
LA, yeah.
But let that ball stop coming your way, and you can start seeing a movie in Showtime.
He
In
celebrating in
Hollywood.
Los Angeles. He breaking up more celebrations in Los Angeles. What
Like,
a
trust
sick.
me. And
All
then
they
don't
blue
forget
eyes he breaking up.
he just reach and they probably and don't forget he on this 1 year call. He don't get released. You don't get released once, bro. You ain't got the only reason why Antonio Brown's still in the league is because of Tom Brady. Unless OBJ get Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers in the back pocket, he better humble himself. Because if you don't get re-signed by the Rams for any behaviorable reasons, you're in a tight. Because ain't much other teams can put up with that if you go down that road again. Because people don't see what you about. So unless a Tom Brady made that call and say, yeah, I want OBJ, which he probably would because they're pretty good friends. Or maybe Aaron Rodgers who says, hey, I want OBJ, which he tried, but OBJ wasn't fooling with that. But other than that, he got to calm down, bro. At least get that next contract and get that guaranteed money. And then you go wild and do what you want.
I think OBJ wanted the Packers, but I think the Packers didn't want him, if I remember correctly.
That's not what was said. The Packers didn't want to pay him what he wanted. They wanted to give him the veterans minimum and let him, and they wanted like a highly incentivized contract where he had to earn his paycheck during the season, whereas the Rams gave him a set guaranteed contract. So it was that where he chose the Rams over the Packers. The Packers did offer him a contract, but it was the veterans minimum. And then he had a lot of incentives in there he had to meet in order to get up to 2, 3, 4 million. Whereas the Rams just went and gave him the 2.5 or 3 million one shot. So me personally, I had to pick the Rams too. LA is a better city. And at that time, Aaron Rodgers was going through his putting foot on the table, dramatical stuff. So I don't know if he wanted to get into that or be the scapegoat. See, it's different when you go to Matthew Stafford and then when you go to Aaron Rodgers. If they don't play good with the Rams, they can say, oh, Stafford this, Stafford that, because they put giving him everything to play with and this and that. If you don't play good with the Packers, the first thing you say is, Marvy is winning before you come. You come here and throw this chemistry off. So in a way, I think his decision was better being going to the Rams. At this point in time. Now the offseason, he got big choices to make. Me personally, I think he get into the Bucks. But that's just me personally.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what happens in this offseason. Hopefully he finishes off the season strong. I'd like to see him play some big postseason football. So I open for big things out of him in the playoffs. Um, I don't have too much ground on him this year. He got enough time to grab. Uh, what else we have? Because that was really a big game we talked about.
I don't know what I missed when I was offline because this game was acting
Yeah,
stupid.
I think that was basically it. The only game I see, okay, we have 49ers and Falcons. I mean, what much to say about that? Um, 49ers took care of business.
Yeah, they beat the team they supposed to, but
Yeah.
then it wasn't nothing special. I want to see that Jimmy G situation unfold too, because the 49ers winning games they supposed to, but they also losing games that they supposed to. So it's like you middle of the pack. Are you still gonna pay a quarterback almost 30 million to be what the 15th best quarterback in the league, 20th best quarterback in the league, but you getting top five, top 10 money? Boy, that ain't looking too good to me. So I don't know, but I see Jimmy G getting a new home this summer.
You say you see him grand.
I see him getting a new home. I can't say where, or I ain't sure where, but I see him being in a new environment this summer.
Uh, do I see that?
I think I agree.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
for the same reasons Love said. Regardless of how far they go this season, it's you don't make those kind of moves in the off season if you just gonna stick with Jimmy G. They definitely want to see their rookie quarterback perform, and they want to give him room to perform. So I think before our season even started, they determined that Jimmy G is gone, and no matter what he does, he's still going there this season. I don't think there's nothing he could do.
yeah. I don't know if I'd say it's nothing he could do. I guess we'll have to see how they finish off the season. And looking at their last three games, they got the Titans winnable game, Texans winnable game, and then they finish off the season against the Rams. Um, that's going to be the most difficult challenge there. I guess it depends on how they finish off the season, and then if they could show anything in the postseason. Because at the end of the day, um, you know, if he is playing at a high level and he's put you in a position to make the postseason, put you in a position to advance around maybe, um, I don't think you just give that away or give up on that so easily. You know what I mean? But it all depends on, like I say, how he finishes it, how they finish it off as a team. He's been playing okay, but like you say, first contract, he's definitely getting paid like a top 10 guy, and he's not been playing at that level. So it'll be interesting to see. And
That's a good. Y'all go on Rams and y'all did talk about Rams because they played tonight.
we ain't talking
You
about
know, for
Rams.
drafts.
Now the Rams played tonight. Who they played tonight? Let me see. Rams played the Seattle Seahawks. Cooper Cup is going crazy on fellas. When I drafted Cooper Cup in my fantasy, fellas laughed because I had a chance to draft Julio Jones or I think Kittle. And I was like, wait, that Rams offense with Matthew Stafford, that was going to be good. I told you all this at the beginning of the season. It was between the
Yeah, but
Cardinals and the
you
Rams. Of course not. I ain't saying I was expecting them to be doing
to do
super
this. Yeah.
crazy like this, but
Yeah.
I knew that because Cooper Cup had a good season last year, even though people was blaming Jared Goff a lot for the crap he was doing. But even with Jared Goff, Cooper Cup was already having a good year. So I was like, wait, if Cooper Cup could really put it together this year, he's gonna have a solid year too. And this was before OBJ and all that. So I was like, okay, dog can go crazy. Um, but yeah, he broke the record for most receptions, Rams history. Fantasy wise, I think he's broken the record for most fantasy points by a wide receiver in a season. So Cooper Cup is one of the most, to me, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league this season. Because when you talk top three, top five wide receivers, you still pull DeAndre Hopkins out of the hat. People still go Stephon Diggs. People still go, well, You know, the old timers still can say Julio Jones, even though this season he hasn't really done anything. Um, but to be honest, if you look stats wise, Cooper Cup is beating these guys in almost every category. So if I had to say right now who is the number one wide receiver in the league, I would have to go Cooper Cup. And I have the stats could back it up, the highlights could back it up. Like, to be honest, right now, today, at this point in time, Cooper Cup is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
I agree.
Yeah, I could
I
co-sign that.
and I say that as he just destroyed me in fantasy this week. I agree 100%.
Yeah, I could co-sign that. I think he
He
is.
has been the most consistent over the last 2 years.
Consistent in an offense where you know he's the number one. Like I say, it was different when like you got Justin Jefferson. Not taking anything away from him, but Justin Jefferson also has Adam Thielen, who is over there getting double teamed. So not to say that it, it's the reason why, but it does make his job a little easier when you have a number one over there doing these things. In that Rams offense, Cooper Cup is number one.
Yeah.
Also on a team that doesn't have an elite running back, and you know they passing the ball, you should have two eyes on him at all times, which they do. And Dog still has come out with 9, 10 receptions, 100 and something yards, and minimum a touchdown. Almost every game this year, I think he has like 14 touchdowns this year, if I'm not mistaken. And from looking at, let me see, where is it? Looking at their record, what they are. Right now, the Rams are 10-4. So you have 14 touchdowns and you played 14 games. That shows that you're averaging a touchdown, minimum a touchdown per game. So yeah, he's on pace to be a top wide receiver in the league this year when it comes to yards, when it comes to receptions, and when it comes to touchdowns.
For sure. For sure. Um,
We
well,
could
that
cross.
seems to
We
be
could,
it for the NFL.
yeah, NFL. We could segue over because the only similarity we have with the NFL and NBA right now is that obviously this new COVID variant is
It's
depleting
killing me.
teams. NFL
It's
has
killing
to
me.
reschedule games. NBA has to reschedule games, postpone all these things. Now, the new variant is not as deadly, but it is more contagious. So what we are seeing now is that more people are catching it, but because they are vaccinated, these guys only got to, I think, return like 5 negative tests, and they could play like the next 2 days. Same thing with football. Even if you test positive today, if you have a game, what today is Tuesday. If you have a game, let's say Thursday, if you have like a couple negative tests, 5 negative tests in a row, then you could go and play. So yeah, it's more contagious, but it isn't as, I would say, deadly because of course we have a vaccine that is proven to mitigate uh, the symptoms, and also we have now, I think they have a pill now coming out that if you catch COVID, you could take the pills and it boosts your immune and it also mitigates the symptoms and the respiratory issues. So going forward, it looks like a good sign because if we didn't have these things, I think we'd still be on lockdowns and all that foolishness. But other countries around the world, I see going on lockdown. But if you do look at other countries, they have very low access to vaccines and medication. So, being a country where, obviously, the United States, where they make Pfizer and Moderna and what the next one is, not AstraZeneca,
Johnson and
Johnson.
Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson.
You could continue sports. If you look at these arenas, every night these guys shoulders to shoulder with no mask on screaming. But because vaccination rate is very high, the economy could continue to flow. So with that being said, one of the funny things I saw last week, maybe not funny to some people because yeah, you have COVID, but Kyrie Irving, who has sat out the season in protest, basically. Maybe not all his fault or all his reasoning because they told him he couldn't play New York games because of the mandate, whatever. Dog said out all this time. Now, when Brooklyn Nets team is depleted, they call the phone and say, "Hey, Kyrie, you can't play in New York, but you can play other places. How you feel about that?" Dog go on Instagram and post him picking up his tennis and walking out. Like I guess he's trying to say, "Yeah, I back at it." Then the next day, come to find out, oh, you in protocols because you test positive for COVID. Like, come on, bro. Like,
Hey,
really?
Is that why I thought he was just in protocols because you had to be in protocols before you play it? He
No,
test
no,
positive.
no. No, he
yeah, he does for
tested
it.
positive for COVID and he's unvaccinated. So he now has to take a longer time before he's even eligible to play because he isn't vaccinated. So it's
Like
like, come on.
he probably is living with that COVID for the past 6 months.
So by the time Kyrie is even eligible to come back, the guys who are vaccinated and are sitting out will be back. So it's almost like when it's time for you to come off your 10-day whatever, these guys who vaccinated only have to sit out like 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. So by next week they can say, "Boy, Kyrie, we'll call you if we need you again." So I don't know. It's funny to
This,
me because like, come on, man. You had one job. You say,
I
this
don't.
you
whole
I
say.
that to me that sounds so fishy to me. Like
well,
the fact that they called him back because they were a depleted team. Like, bro, you made a stance against Kyrie and you said, listen, you can't play. You won't be coming up and down just talking about you playing game away games. That ain't gonna work. That could ruin our chemistry. We don't want that. And now because you
which is
depleted,
understandable.
now you depleted, so you're like, oh hey Kyrie, that sounds so fishy. I think that there's a motive behind it, and I think they called him back so he could start playing, so his trade value could go up.
It's possible.
I don't think they call him to win games. So I mean, they top in the East. He's gonna lose what 4 games, 5 games the most. It wasn't that bad, bro.
I
My
think
point is,
well,
it wasn't that bad for them to call Kyrie.
well, you have to understand the situation too, right? They top in the East. Kevin Durant playing at an MVP level, right? But he playing like probably the most minutes in the league,
Hmm.
right? Harden ain't playing great, really. Uh, so they top in the East mainly because KD have to really grind out wins for them. He got to play great every night for them to win. That's how you know there's a great team, obviously, because still beating the teams they're supposed to beat. But you have to play at that level every night for them
Yeah,
to win.
he doing too much.
You're doing way too
Somebody,
much, right?
yeah,
And you don't want to burn him out, right? Harden ain't that dude no more. Look like, right? Don't let he's that same dude. Um, so now
Yeah, right.
it's like you have to. I'm sure they did not really want to integrate him, but like you say, this is a team who I'm sure would be happy to trade Kyrie Irving if they could find someone to trade him to, right? And like you say, it may be killing two birds with one stone. If I could prove to teams that Kyrie's still committed to playing basketball, then maybe I could be able to prove to teams that hey, you could take him if you want. You know what I mean? But this situation now with COVID, the new variant coming out, and obviously the outbreaks and all that, it's getting crazy because I still ain't really sure how the NBA could really handle it. Like X Factor already talked about, the vaccines to reduce um, the severity of the disease. So it's not as if you're gonna go die if you get COVID. It's very unlikely that that happens, but um, it ain't stopping you from catching it. And this whole thing, uh, if a random role player catches it, then no one really batting the eye,
Really.
right? But if LeBron catch it, if Steph catch it, if KD catch it, now all of a sudden now you gotta really think, okay, could we afford them types of duels to catch it? especially if maybe it's a playoff situation. Could we afford them dudes catching it?
I
So,
mean, Katie
I
has tested positive.
yeah, Kitty tested positive. I'm saying like if it's a
Again, by the way, this is second time. There's something wrong with him.
ex- yeah, well, you don't brush your hair, you don't bathe, put on lotion, nothing like that. So this ain't no surprise.
Yeah, hey, that's a
The
nasty
dude,
word.
it is a nasty dude. Yeah, COVID live him. Anyway,
Super
it's,
spreader.
it's, it comes down to whether or not, because the NBA has already said we don't want to go in the bubble. The players already said we don't want to go in the bubble. So it's like, what do they do in a playoff scenario? I'm not too worried about the actual regular season. I think the regular season, players can catch it, whatever, whatever. It is what it is. In the playoffs, you absolutely cannot afford for LeBron James to miss a playoff series because of COVID. If
No,
you're Adam Silver, you can't afford Steph Curry to miss a series because of
no.
COVID. Can't
Can't
afford
afford
KD,
KD. No,
Jokic, Chris Paul. You can't afford them dudes. Giannis to miss a playoff series because of COVID. What do you do when the playoffs rolls around? Is my ultimate question. How do you combat that?
Um, I think they have to. I would say they have to
uh,
do something where it changes. They have to change the testing, I guess. I think guys were complaining about it because there's like, okay, if you test more, obviously you'll have more positive results. Their thing is if you're vaccinated, guys feel like okay, I should be tested less because yeah, I might test positive, but number one, if let's say 95% of the league is vaccinated, even if it's in the air, like come on, bro, this ain't the only thing in the air. Like you say earlier, you could catch these things, but it doesn't affect you like how it did when it was brand new, because it's already been introduced to your system and your body naturally fights things off. Now this ain't no health friggin' segment, no damn doctor podcast, but like at this point in sports, they're basically saying like, hey, almost the whole world has been either vaccinated or actually had COVID in their body at one point or another. So guys are saying like, hey, why I gotta sit out? Because not everybody makes the $500,000 paychecks per game that LeBron them make. These fellas missing games, and if your salary is only 2 million, 3 million, and you missing 5, 10 games, but you don't give up about $50,000 of your salary, you went into that. So all they saying is, hey, come up with a way where if we vaccinated, yeah, even if we test positive, give us a day or two off, but let's get back to games. Because, like you say, in a playoff series, it's gonna be a challenge having competitive playoff series. If you have another outbreak where, let's say, California, like you say, Steph, LeBron, AD, Westbrook, Kawhi, Paul George, you got some big stars in California. So if California have a serious outbreak and you see guys start testing positive, because obviously they have a life. You go home to your wife. You ain't know where she been all day. You go home to your kids. These guys, your kids been to school all day. LeBron's son playing ball with other fellas all day, every day, or two of his sons. So you engaging with people who've been out on the town and out other places all day is almost inevitable that you're gonna be exposed. So like they saying, like come up with a solution to where if I do test positive, but I got this vaccine that everybody say we should have been getting and everything was going to go back to normal, then we shouldn't be out here missing games and missing paychecks. So I don't know what the solution would be, but I would say, by if you only have minimum people like Kyrie, them who don't want to get vaccinated, then boy, this was basically their plan. They can ostracize you and say, big man, everybody else, even if they get it, could play. But you, even if you don't have it,
Yeah,
you can't play.
I don't. I
yeah, and,
honestly
and
don't. Go
I
ahead. Go
think
ahead.
they trending towards that though. I think they
Yeah, I
trending
think that's what it
towards
could be.
a situation where, and That's just my personal thoughts, right? I think they trying towards a situation where they could say,
Once you
we have nine
vaccinated,
percent, we have 9% of the league vaccinated.
you straight.
Uh, if you ain't in that 90%, you ain't playing.
That's
If
it.
you're a staff member and you ain't in that number, you ain't working. So we can make it to where it's an all vaccinated league. We don't care
Hmm.
if you catch it or not because we know you're not gonna die or whatever the case may be, right? It's an all vaccinated league, vaccinated staff, vaccinated arena workers, all that other stuff. I think it's trending towards that. Now it's hard to regulate, but
And
I think
it's
that may be
only
would
to
be
me, it's
good.
only gonna be like that initially. Let's say for the first this season and maybe next season. Because let's look at it. You had a pandemic in the 19 whatever with the flu pandemic. So just how this hit us hard initially, it's gonna hit the whole world hard initially. But then what happens as time goes on? Don't players play with the flu? Don't Jordan have a whole friggin' career game based off playing with the flu?
As a
Arguably,
hangover, but
arguably,
as a hangover,
arguably,
but he said
But still,
arguably a
you
flu.
had
we can
guys who play
But
with the
we,
flu. Let's
yeah,
just
but the
even
point
go
is,
with let's
they
just
would
look at
allow him to play with the flu. Yeah.
yeah, they would allow it.
yeah.
Let's look at even Magic. Magic came out and had HIV in 92. Didn't Magic come back in the league at 96?
Yeah.
So initially, when you don't know what this whole thing could do, because initially when Magic first got it when in a time where they still was figuring out what this was. He didn't know if
Yeah.
it was transferred through sweat. They didn't know how
Coach
contagious
didn't
it
want to
was.
touch him.
X, Y,
They
Z,
didn't want to play
exactly.
with him.
Then a couple years later, dog back in the league, dog on the USA team, going around the world playing with everybody else. So it's like nowadays I sure like. I mean, I put no more on that, but you got fellas in the league now who probably positive, and no one even know. It ain't even a big deal no more to be positive because now they have these pills that say your thingum is so low that it could be undetectable if you have HIV. So now you could get, like I say, if they have these COVID pills, you could now take COVID pills where you could be undetectable to COVID tests or something like that. So
What
as
do
time go on, things will start to balance off and
but
get back.
how how much accountability do we put on individual teams and individual players though? Because there are some teams out there with zero COVID cases. So what are they doing differently from those teams that have 8, 9, 12 players with COVID cases?
Probably
Yeah.
lying.
Probably lying.
Let's be real about it. Like I say, it's very hard to have guys. Okay, let's look at this. Like when Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. After Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, they had this big party and parade. Everybody is like, boy, COVID over. Now, this was, keep in mind, this is like February. Like, this was still peak COVID time. And everybody's like, wait, what the hell going on? Like, COVID over. You realize that no one reported that they had COVID at that time. No one on the Buccaneers team. Then come to find out a few months ago, Tom Brady came out and say, "Oh yeah, I had COVID in March or in February." Then a lot of his teammates came out and say, "Yeah, after the parade, a few of us came down with COVID." Like really, like so why no one reported this? I mean, I guess they was in the off season, but my thing is, this still should have been reported. Tom Brady, this is a worldwide pandemic. Post Tom Brady at the age of 44 didn't make it. You know how crazy the NFL would have gone? Like right now, the league probably still wouldn't have been up to stay to say, but hey, listen, we don't lose the goal, and we
Take a
don't
year
know.
off.
Yeah, we don't know if this could
Take
take
all the
anybody else out. Look at the other day
take all the
when Aaron Rodgers had it. When Aaron Rodgers had it, people was on their P's and Q's because don't forget Aaron Rodgers ain't vaccinated.
Yeah.
yeah.
And everybody was like, wait,
And he said he's actually sick too. That's
exactly.
nasty.
He was actually
Yeah.
symptomatic. What if Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers didn't make it? But you know how crazy the sports world would have gone? Or how scared, like, think about people who look up to these guys as heroes and day-to-day untouchables. And you see Aaron Rodgers go down, you'd be like, wait, what the? Boy, fellas wouldn't come outside. Like real talk, because boy, people be getting crazy. So it's like, okay, cool. With the vaccine and stuff now, like you say, I believe that at this point, even the people who say, oh, well, I want to see people can turn to zombies or people can start drop down diet. Okay, cool. You don't see, right? Done been out here long enough. I think now, especially for your livelihood, um, we've been taking vaccine to get into school, especially us who went to private schools. We've been taking vaccines and stuff all the time. Flu shots are still given out. I just see people. And I talked to a lady the other day, right? This was an older lady. She like 60 something, right? And I buck her to the clinic, and she was like, "Oh, I can't get my flu vaccine." So I say, oh, okay, that's cool. I say, you ain't scared to mix your flu vaccine with your COVID vaccine? She said, I ain't taking no COVID vaccine. You think they can kill me? I don't know what not. So I look around. I say,
So you
wait.
doing this one?
I say, wait, what's going on, wait? I say, but you here taking the flu vaccine? Yeah, I take the flu vaccine. I take this every year. This is what's keep me going. So I said, wait. I say, wait. I say, okay. Now I realize it's not just a mental thing no more. It's literally a whole like y'all just saying making no sense. Like it's just paranoia. Or it's just people going against things for whatever reason. Because you legit sit down there, you don't know what in the flu vaccine. Because the flu vaccine actually tells you it puts the flu enzymes in you. COVID vaccine doesn't. But anyway, like I said, this ain't no doctor podcast. But I was like, wait, let's just get it together. Let's get past it. And at the end of the day, basketball needs to continue. Football is doing its best to continue, but the
Yeah,
way these outbreaks going, um, it's trending towards maybe a week off because when the pandemic first started, they used to say 2 weeks. So maybe in basketball, if they shut down operations, let's say for a week or two, and let everybody get over their COVID, get tested, and come back fresh, maybe. But me personally, I still don't see that making sense because, like I say, guys sit down with their family every night.
hmm,
People go to
I
dinners. People going at Christmas time. I wouldn't even talk. We going in this weekend gonna be super spreader
yeah.
yeah.
I think a bubble is a high possibility, even though
for
we all know.
playoffs. I think I would do it.
Yeah.
I would
I
do it
For
for the
think
players,
playoffs.
yeah. For players, I do it. For players, I do it. I
I
think to
probably
me,
I probably wouldn't pick Orlando again, but I would do it.
yeah. I think, like I say, for because even with the vaccines, and all of us here are supporters of vaccines. I'm a big supporter of vaccines, but we know the vaccine. We know it's still no cure for COVID, right? So if it ain't no cure, like I say, the biggest thing is you don't want the big names getting it at the wrong times. That's the biggest thing.
yeah,
So with that, prevention is the only cure.
yeah.
Prevention, making sure them dudes don't have a chance to get it, is the only thing that you could do.
To
And
to to save ratings.
yeah, that's the only thing you could do. So for the playoffs, like you say, it's a bunch of options that they make it going. They could take a week off or 2 week off, maybe think about it and try come back, refresh and all that other stuff. They could trend towards that, or like I say, all vaccinated league, or they could just say, you know what, we could handle this how we handle this in the regular season, but for the playoffs, we putting these dudes in a bubble. We ain't care what they say, they get in a bubble. I think that's the only way you could
Uh,
ensure,
all vaccinated bubble.
and
I
even better,
would say
all vaccinated bubble, even better. Even better, all vaccinated bubble, you basically ensure that the only way y'all going down is because of injury, but y'all ain't gonna be missing no games.
Now, I mean, yeah, I agree, but don't forget now, we just came off a playoff that didn't have a bubble because the bubble wasn't last season. The bubble was actually the season
Yeah,
before. That's how
last year
quick
they
time flying.
last year
So
they handled it pretty well.
the reason why I feel like guys may not do it because you don't want to make it seem like you're taking a step back because that also instills fear in the people that hey, maybe something going on because you got these conspiracy theories who's be like, oh, these people know everything ahead of time, so if they going back in a bubble, that means we having a bad wave again, and people can start deading all over the place.
but
Like
we are having a bad wave. It is
yeah,
an
but not
outbreak.
not a deadly wave. Like we having a bad wave
Yeah.
of
But
contagiousness and
I think
positive.
at the time the bubble was there to save lives, but the purpose of this bubble would be to save ratings because, like you say,
Yeah.
you cannot have stars, and like you say, this one is spreading quicker, and you can't have 10 stars out at the same time, 9, 11 stars out at the same
Yeah,
time. You
they would
can't
have
have
to adjust the protocols, I think.
that. That would absolutely kill ratings. You can imagine Lakers playing Denver and LeBron, AD, and Jokic out. Who watching that game?
Hey, Westbrook could go friggin' crazy. I'll watch that game. Westbrook and Melo would go crazy.
Uh, and then it's like, wait, the NBA is so crazy because, like you said, last year they handled it really well, right? They handled it really well last year. But then they ain't had no fans in the arenas like that, right? This year you got the feeling back, the fans back in the arenas, right? The crowd there, right? So everybody then basically in their head go behind them, right? So it's like, wait, dog, how do you keep that feeling going? How do you keep that feeling going? Uh, so yeah, but it could be a tough situation to handle. But hopefully Adam Silver makes the right decisions. Um, and like I say, hopefully he knows that he can't sacrifice the quality of the product with the stars.
Yeah, well, he definitely got to figure it out. So far, so good. I feel like so far as a commissioner, he isn't a iron fist type of guy. He likes to sit down with the Players Association and gets the players' point of view before he makes these decisions. So I think going into the key is that COVID pill. I think the reason why they're not forcing and rushing any issues is because once the FDA approved that, I feel like that will definitely uh, because if you got a vaccine, and then if you do get sick, a lot of these guys who testing positive don't have symptoms. But if you get a vaccine and then you test positive and then you still have like slight symptoms, but you have a pill, it's almost like, okay, you only could be out for like 24 hours, 48 hours, which I would say, okay, cool. You definitely don't need no bubble. You definitely need all that. So I feel like the reason why, because I think they asked Adam Silver recently, do we feel like the NBA should stop their season right now? He said no, not based off what he is seeing. So he might be, well, obviously, him being ahead of that type of organization, he would have insight on, hey, by let's say January 15th or January 10th, we expect this thing to be passed or this blah, 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 blah. So he might say, hey, if we could just hold on for another couple of days, because don't forget, after Christmas, you're going to have another outbreak. Like, you will have teams dropping players like flies after Christmas. So going into the new year, you have another spike in cases. But if we do get this rollout of pills and guys getting boosters and all that stuff, I think by when the playoffs start, May,
Yeah,
by April, May, they should be in the swing of things. Like they should be able to say, hey, we could have a successful playoff run with all our healthy stars ready to make a run at the championship.
yeah, yeah. That's the only thing I open for. This playoffs to me have a potential to be a very very good one as long as the stars are out. Even with we talk about the Warriors for most of the season. Clay Thompson comes back healthy. The Suns right behind them. Um, the Lakers, I feel, as if they still have a chance at that fourth seed. Um, I think the top three out of reach for them. But if they could string together some wins, uh, if Glassman could try stay healthy, uh,
But that just make
they
me
could
mad, yeah.
they could probably get a fourth seed. They would probably get a fourth seed if Glassman could try to do something
So
decent.
who do you think gonna get the third seed if you had to say now? And you say the Suns right behind them, but the Suns are actually in first. So it's the
Okay,
Suns,
Bing. So the
Warriors,
Suns at first.
Who say behind? Sons,
Suns,
what?
the Suns,
Suns
yeah.
first. Suns first. I was thinking more title contention, but Suns first.
No,
Suns
Sons,
first.
title contention, Warriors out
Yeah,
the
yeah,
contention
I'd
first.
put Warriors
yeah,
first,
Mhm.
Sons second,
Yeah.
Um,
Uh
We
third,
give
who we put
we
third in
giving
the
any
I,
West?
respect? Are we giving any respect to the Utah Jazz?
No.
they would finish as a third seed.
Yeah, but they ain't really
But
no,
they ain't title contenders. Title
no,
contenders.
no. It
Uh
all depends on the trade deadline. I'd put Denver third. I'd put Denver third, and then probably the Lakers and the Clippers. But it all depends the trade deadline. If you got some big names moving around, where you got let's say a Ben Simmons come to the West, or let's say Portland makes a big move. Let's say surprisingly, Damian Lillard gets traded. Very surprisingly, but let's just say it happens. These things change the odds of a lot of things, and these things are on the block. Let's say they actually do blow the Lakers up and get rid of Westbrook and bring in Buddy Hield and who was a point guard, LeBron, a LeBron lover. Um, I don't know, but we already have Rondo them there anyway. So let's just say we
Robinson.
get. Wait, listen, stop it. Um, let's just say they put
But
Rondo
that's
back in
the
the
thing, though.
lineup.
They really don't respect Rondo. Like, bro, Rondo still is an elite playmaker. I don't understand why they keep looking for a starting guard as if Rondo is incompetent.
I don't know.
Rondo
Rondo might
can't
be
start
getting
though.
through some health issues. I don't know what he dealing with, but it ain't looking too
It
good for
ain't gonna
him.
be a full time situation, though, Green. He can't start at at this point in his career. Full time.
Rondo can't be a starter.
No, not no start.
Not this point in his career. And listen, let me say this. Much flag as I give Russ. Russ been playing a lot better.
Yes.
Russ been playing
Yeah,
a lot better. Um, it's the fit still ain't perfect,
right.
as we
But
already
it's
said.
but it's but you know, but it's not his fault.
No, it ain't. It's not his fault.
The,
It's not his fault. It's LeBron's fault. Um,
it is LeBron
LeBron's the one
fault.
who put his team together.
Yeah.
It's LeBron fault. Westbrook is doing his best to fit in, and like I say, he's still playing a productive role. Um, they have tried a bunch of things. The Lakers have. I've seen them try to put LeBron at center, and I think that's worked out in some periods. But for me, I don't think that's a viable solution long term because if you put LeBron at center, where does AD play? Like you're not going to be a good team. You're not going to be a championship contender unless Glassman could come to play. That's just what it is, right? So you need AD, Braun, and Russ healthy, and you need them playing as much games as possible together, right? For you to see really where your team is at. The Lakers have gone through a lot of injuries, and you can't really see where they are at. Um, but like I say, they still have a chance at the fourth seed, right? You get a chance at the fourth seed, I may give you a chance to get to the conference finals. You get below a fourth seed, and then you'll have to end up playing on the road from the beginning of the playoffs. And I just don't see how you could uh, get too far playing every series on the road. You know what I mean? So I right now I still have the Lakers as the dark horse in the West. I have the Warriors and the Suns as the top two teams, and I think the Lakers is probably the best out of the rest if they healthy. Um, no disrespect to Utah Jazz, but uh,
Disrespect. That's disrespectful. But yeah.
no disrespect to Utah Jazz. I think the Jazz are a solid team, but the Jazz missing something, man. They missing something. I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but they missing
they not
something.
they, when you slow the ball down in the playoffs, they not. I don't know. They
Yeah,
just ain't it. They just don't
they
compare.
they missing a forward. Like they need a different making forward. You got Conley as your point guard. Okay, cool. He ain't no big time, but he's stable. You got Donovan Mitchell as your shooting guard. Very good all star caliber shooting guard. You got defensive player of the year and pink presence center. But who do you really have to rely on as your forwards? That's their issue. That's their
Joe Angels,
weakness.
Joe.
Bogey,
Exactly.
But you know what? But you know what? Not even Joe, because Joe is a good
Bogey.
forward. It ain't Joe. Their first of all, their power forward is the weakest position on the team, right?
Exactly.
You know who's
Who's the
the
power forward?
starting forward?
Bogey.
Royce O'Neal.
Exactly.
Okay, he's a
Who?
defensive dude.
What the
I mean,
fence?
I don't even know what to call him because he's
Defensive.
that's probably one of the weakest starters in the league, and that's
Yeah,
their
he probably
fault.
yeah, and he's there 4-3 man. Bogey, I like Bogey. He's a good scorer.
Yeah, no, Boogie good.
Um, but like I mean, it's all like what Xbox is saying. They're missing a guy who is a physical uh presence at the wing that can impose his will on both sides of the basketball.
What I
Um,
think they're missing too is a post scorer too, though.
Yeah, they don't have no post scoring either.
they got White off the bench, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay.
White
You know who's their best post scorer? Who was an acquisition this year, and obviously he's well past his prime. Rudy Gay.
yeah.
Boy,
Rudy
it's
Gay
all
is the
like this
best.
rough.
If you know what I mean. If I don't even know how old he is, 37. The 37-year-old Rudy Gay is the best post scorer in the playoffs.
You
That
know who they
perimeter.
should go for? That will definitely make them a championship contender. And who was recently say they want to change the scenery. Think about it. Power forward.
Who
You're saying Ben,
Sabonis?
right?
Sabonis?
Exactly. Sabonis is also not a ball dominant scorer. So
Yeah,
you put Sabonis next
go back.
to Gobert,
He's a really
and
good
now
rebounder.
exactly now you have that defensive and presence with Gobert. But now you also have a guy who could actually put the ball in to the post, and he could actually get you a bucket. Not like Gobert, who getting little tip ins and little putbacks. We talking about a
Yeah.
guy who you could say, "Hey, clear out this side of the court, give him the ball, let him go to work, and he could get you 2 points." So now, if they make that, if they could find a way to get Sabonis without giving up key pieces, I would now put them ahead of the Lakers because with Glass, Bottle, Davis, uh, can't stay healthy. If that team bucks the Lakers and you get Rudy Gobert down there and you get Sabonis, along with Donovan Mitchell giving you help and stuff on the wing, um, that could be a team who could take the Lakers to 6, 7 games, and any of them games could go either which way, especially if the Lakers don't have home court advantage.
The thing is with the Lakers, man, I feel as though even when Davis is healthy, they don't run the ball to him.
Not
Like,
yet.
and I don't understand why. I mean, when I watch the play, it's LeBron on the perimeter, or it's what's his face, Westbrook on the perimeter. They throw the ball into AD on that little fast break. When you see the defender to get the layup, but other than that, it's like, bro, the ball should be going to AD every other possession. I don't understand. That's your best player, or y'all
Don't
forget?
He needs to stop
Don't
being so
forget
soft,
now,
bro.
he also wants to be on the wing. Like my thing with AD is he don't even be back down, putting his hand up for the post. If you look at a lot of them players, AD don't even pick and roll. AD is pick and pop. So it's almost like even when we had guys like Pau Gasol, who was a mid-range maestro, once Pau Gasol catch that pop and anywhere around the free throw line or on the elbow, that's bucket. Even when we had Pau Gasol, Kobe used to tell Pau Gasol, hey, post up. And Pau Gasol could have gone on there and gave a little baby hook. He could have done a little shimmy, give you a little 2 point under the rim. But this boy, must be because of the age of basketball now, dog just legit one shoot. Like I don't know, like
But you know,
him and Embiid now just turning into 7 foot Steph Curry's.
like, it's giving way he do, right? Yeah, ask him what do you think about LeBron playing center. He said, "Man, I think we need that. I think we need that, man. He provides a physical presence for our team." I say,
Legit.
"Wait, you 7 foot, and you want this play center?
He doing
Hey,
anything not to play center, bro.
wait, you ain't got no shit, mate. You ain't got a lick of shit, mate. What I'm saying." But yeah, man,
That
80. And in some ways, I understand why he don't want to play center because, but he's so fragile that anything can throw him off. But I mean, but what you doing now ain't working. You still get injured either way. So,
Really.
uh, I don't know, but the Lakers to me, their big three has not gotten enough games together yet for them to form a solid identity. Um, they need more games together. Um, Vogel might not be the coach, right? And it's unfair to him because he's in a tough situation, but he might not be the coach that gets them to where they want to go. Uh,
even though he
but
already did.
even though he already did, like I say, this is a very tough situation for him because what coaches be on the hot seat after they were already win a championship? Usually that's by a couple
Yeah.
of years,
LeBron
right?
coaching.
Yeah,
Uh,
sometimes it's like that.
yeah, I mean, but shoots. Ricardo had win one championship for Dallas and they fire him till what, 12 years later, 12, 13 years later?
And at the same token, what the dude name from Toronto who win coach of the year and get fired? Um,
Yeah,
Dwayne Casey.
Dwayne
yeah.
Casey win coach of the year and
Yeah.
get fired. Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah, but it's a tough situation to be in for Vogel, that is. But yeah, I think the Lakers, like I said, they need more time for that victory. I see that scene as a fourth seed, and I think that's within reach. At this point, I think if you're the Lakers, you not a fourth seed and you figure it out later. And below that, like I say, is gonna be trouble. Uh what do y'all think? I segue a little bit to the Eastern Conference now of a team that's been playing really well but hasn't really gotten a lot of praise. To me, uh, the Chicago Bulls. Where do you all see?
He freeze, I freeze.
That's exactly where the Bulls can be. They ain't nothing much. Like I
No,
said,
but I disagree. The Bulls look good, bro. I mean, I think obviously everybody healthy, they not seeing the Nets, right? But um, other than the Nets, I think the Bulls can compete with anybody. Granted, I was never too high on the Bucks. I think they win because everyone was injured. The Bulls have a really good identity. They know exactly what they doing and where they going in crunch time. They got height defensively. Um, I don't think they're as well coached as the Bucks, but or the Heat. But I think that they can compete with those teams. The only team I think they can't compete with is a healthy Nets team.
yeah, don't forget, like I always tell y'all, I've been watching sports all my life. And it's always a Cinderella team every single season. It's always that team that's gonna look beautiful during the regular season. That's gonna look like, oh yeah, this is their year to do some damage and this and that. And not to say that they can get kicked in the first round. They probably do make the second round. But uh, based on matchups, I don't see them going much further than the second round. If they do make the third round, that's it. Bulls, like you say, you buck Boston or you buck certain names. Uh, what the guy's name?
Boston, Boston,
You don't. You think the Boston in the playoffs?
Boston can't beat the Bulls in the playoffs.
Boston
No,
can't be the Bulls in playoff.
mm-mm.
Okay. What
Boston,
if?
Boston
What
have an
if?
identity crisis right now.
Yeah, right now. But what if Boston get a bid?
I mean, granted, if something changed before the trade deadline, that's different. But I mean, as Boston is right now,
What
I
if
don't see
Boston pick up John Wall?
that's a huge difference. That's a
Huge.
huge difference. Yeah, it's a
At
huge
this point
difference.
in his career, you think at this point in his career he's better than Schroeder?
Yes, Schroeder,
Wow.
and
You want to watch this man play in two
Schroeder,
years? He's a killer.
Schroeder, Schroeder don't even run the ball. Come on, we saying the Warriors should be the best once Clay come back. We didn't watch Clay play in 2 years. Like,
No,
what's
but
the
they
difference?
no. We saying the Warriors is the best now. So, that's they like
No,
Clay
we ain't
really
saying
making
they
a
can get better
difference.
with Clay. I thought we were saying they can get better with Clay,
Yeah, of course.
but
Because
we ain't see Clay play in 2 years.
yeah, but Clay fits that system. Like we see him Clay playing in our system. You talking about John Wall coming back, number one, and then coming back to play with a whole different team of guys who you don't even know.
John Wall with one hand is better than Schroeder with two hands. You
Yeah,
asked me if John Wall is better than Schroeder. That's what you asked me.
yeah, but we talking about Boston. I say if Boston get John Wall, would he be a
If
better
Boston
fit
get
than
John Wall,
Schroeder?
they get better because I mean I don't even think Schroeder run is do majority of the playmaking. I think that's Marcus Smart. And I don't think he's that much of a playmaker.
Yeah, they need to get rid of him. But yeah,
So yeah, so I mean, granted, if they change if there's a huge roster update or roster downgrade, then it would be different. But as it stands right now, I think with Chicago's defense and Chicago's, I wouldn't say chemistry, they just stop, but just the fact that they know where to go. They ain't like the Lakers out here dribbling, trying to find out what we could do. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what shot attempt they want to get at what particular time. That's called identity. They know their identity. They know who they going to. The Lakers out here still trying to figure it out. Like I just using the Lakers because it's a vast difference in terms of identity. So a teams that have the identity where they know what they're doing, they usually successful in the playoffs. Like the Bucks and like the Nets. Not so much the Heat, but I don't think um the Bucks or the Heat could see Chicago in the playoffs right now. I think only the Nets. And that's just 'cause KD is KD.
well, Katie, obviously Katie is showing y'all that Katie is Katie.
Yeah. Coming back from oh, he come back from Achilles? Coming back from he come back from
Yeah,
Achilles, right?
yeah.
Jesus.
At 7 foot.
That's crazy. I mean, I thought he would have at least take his time. I didn't think he would have been seeing this level
But
of
I
play
told y'all.
until his second year back.
Exactly. And I told you, because people was mad that Brooklyn signed him coming right off the Achilles and saying, oh, he's not going to fulfill his contract, blah, blah, blah. KD is actually one toe away from possibly winning Brooklyn a championship because
Yes, sir.
if they beat Milwaukee,
That's
they
it.
definitely was going to kill the Hawks.
Yeah.
And they was getting Kyrie and James Harden back in
For
time
the
for the
Suns.
finals.
Yeah.
So it's like one step away,
One
literally one
throw away.
step away
Yeah.
from him actually pulling it off. So me, like I say, and obviously this year they still in great position. Even though he's in his 30s now, he's still playing elite basketball. If you look at the stats wise, even though guys like Steph is beating him in points, when it comes to field goal percentage and actually shooting at a higher percentage and not just chucking up 20 shots, 30
20,
shots a game to
15 usually
get
being
to
yeah.
get 20 points. Um, it looks like KD actually is the MVP so far.
He
Steph
is.
might have the hype, but
Steph is
KD
always
is
gonna have the
actually
hype.
the
But
MVP.
I think KD should be the front runner for MVP. I think it's KD then Steph.
Yeah,
And then not just
I would
that
say
too,
too.
given the fact that KD has been doing it by himself. You need to see the minutes this dude logging. Like
I watched.
he is going all out and he just hooping. No complaints, no crying, no you know what I mean? Like dude just playing whole second halves and like
I
it's
actually
nothing.
pretty concerned that they was actually giving him so much minutes, knowing that hey, this guy number one is old, that he was. Number two, this guy is coming off an Achilles injury. Number three, his frame is so friggin' fragile that
Yeah.
I would never have him out on the court for that amount of time, just looking at him walking around. And then number four, knowing that hey, my other stars ain't even available. Like you got Kyrie, who can't seem to get on the court, and James Harden, who can't seem to stay on the court. So it's like I wouldn't like, boy, other fellas would have to step up because I feel like, boy, the number one seed isn't that important. If I wear my superstar out, I could go into the
Precisely.
playoffs with KD and Harden and maybe possibly Kyrie, even if I was a 7, 8.
Regardless of the seed. Exactly.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been burning him out this much. But
No.
obviously, we know Steve Nash, is a career. He is a career regular season guy because Steve Nash, I don't think in his whole career been to the finals. So Steve Nash,
I think Western Conference is the furthest one.
exactly. But Steve Nash, almost every year used to win like 60 games. Like he almost every year they used to be top three seed, winning 60 games, winning 65 games, 67
Yeah.
games. So that's a regular season god.
But
He's been up two
even
MVPs.
Even the media, questions him. I think KD got upset at one point when he was like, "Listen, stop questioning me about minutes. I just want hoop." But it's like, bro, we question you about minutes because this how this thing goes. When you play high minutes during the season, you usually don't finish the season.
Exactly.
So we have to question you about minutes. Like, what's going on? I mean, if they continue to ignore that, something terrible might happen, and Steve Nash should be the only person to blame.
Damn right.
I don't know how much leeway was his leash in terms of staying the coach of that team, but
His leash is as long as KD game.
KD go down, bro. Sans, what you saying now with this overrated Bucks team now who win because of injury?
Bro, you honestly think the Bulls could beat the Milwaukee Bucks in a playoff series?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
Oh, of
Yes,
course,
I do.
Giannis will go crazy on it.
Right.
Yes, I do. Giannis would score 60,
The,
70 points, and then what?
the Bucks would
Drew
have.
Holiday,
I mean,
Drew
And
Holiday
then
just
they
scored.
would win.
Drew Holiday just scored 40.
exactly.
Holiday just scored 40 for the first time in his career. Like they don't have that
Right.
firepower.
The Bucks by far have the best player in that series. By far.
Yeah,
In
by far,
Giannis.
of course,
By far.
of course.
Right? It
Yeah,
ain't even close. Right?
no,
So if we usually go by usually teams that have the best player, usually they win the series. Usually. Right? Uh so the Bucks have the best player in the series. They don't have the second best player, but they probably have the third, right? Middleton, sleep on Middleton, right?
we do
Uh,
sleep on Middleton. I think Levine is better than Middleton.
What?
I think,
I
I
think
think,
Zach Levine is better than Chris Middleton.
uh,
But as much as I don't like Middleton, Middleton has come true. And
You
in
do,
playoff time, Levine
but
is a regular season highlight show boy.
oh come on, man, Levine is a highlight all around.
Show
Come on, man.
boy.
I know,
But by playoff
I
is a
know.
different atmosphere.
I
But
think it's close. I
when
think
you
it's
get Drew
close.
Holiday on you, locking you up, let me see you
See now
drop them
that's
same points.
now that's Drew Holiday is is probably the X factor there,
All right then.
right? Because he
Let me see you
is
do the same thing
he
when Drew
is
Holiday there.
was he an all star? I don't know if he's an all star, but he's clearly first team all defense, right? And a playmaker at that, even a defensive playmaker, if you will. He is the X
Yeah,
factor in that series. Giannis could give you. Giannis probably could drop 50 on them for real. On Vucevic, Giannis definitely dropping 50, but the X factor being seeing who Drew Holiday could stop. I don't think Drew Holiday could stop um
Zach
uh
Levine.
DeMar DeRozan.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think so.
you think Drew
Well,
Holiday can stop DeMar DeRozan?
no.
D
Wait,
D D
DeMar
Ma.
DeRozan?
D Ma.
DeMar DeRozan? Come on, man, dude. Come on.
Well, they can't stop DeMar DeRozan. Y'all,
Come on.
y'all
Wait,
legit
Stop it.
sitting
wait.
here
Okay,
Stop
discrediting
it.
like this
everything.
DeRozan
Stop it.
in Toronto? Why
Stop it.
Lord.
And even DeRozan in Toronto, what his nickname was in Toronto? The Frozen? Come
Really?
on, boy.
Don't
How
worry.
much time they can run into LeBron and get sweep, boy?
Yeah, but it's in LeBron ain't on the Bucks.
They're seeing LeBron, but they're seeing
This yeah.
LeBron,
Hey,
but it's
Giannis
This version of Giannis.
yeah, this Giannis, yeah, wait, trust me.
This Giannis ain't that far off. This version of Giannis ain't that far off. I can
No,
tell you that much.
Giannis ain't LeBron.
What?
This version of Giannis
Giannis
is
ain't
not that
LeBron,
far
bro.
off.
Compared to what LeBron was in Cleveland his first years when he was beating up on Toronto and DeRozan, this Giannis ain't that far off from that LeBron. Because LeBron couldn't shoot neither. Like, this Giannis actually is more dominant if you look at
In
what
the
he
post, yeah.
does compared to what LeBron was doing then. Now, passing wise, LeBron have been playmaking wise, LeBron, but offensively,
Scoring,
I'm definitely defensively.
Definitely defensively, he got.
This is a bigger challenge.
Uh,
So, and then
listen,
he also have a true number two in Drew Holiday and a number 2.5 who shows up a lot in Chris Middleton. LeBron was
Yeah,
beating
but at
DeRozan
the
in his
same time,
prime, and it was only really LeBron
DeRozan had a number 2.
and
Don't
Booby.
call Larry.
What? As much as I don't like Kyle Lowry, there was his best years.
Come
He's
on,
trash now. But
come on,
Kyle Lowry in them first Toronto years, boy.
come
Then he
on.
first come over from Houston.
Come on,
Boy,
man.
Kyle Lowry was looking
Kyle
good,
Lowry
boy.
is probably better in Houston with a triple doubles than he was in Toronto. Come
Oh,
on, man.
see, now you running up, man.
Kyle
Really?
Lowry was not a threat to score like how
Oh, my Lord.
Levine is a threat to score.
Kyle
No, he's
Lowry.
Is
not.
a is a better
I'm not saying.
and
No, you
Toronto is a
know.
better defense. I mean, Chicago is a better defensive team now than Toronto is.
Yeah, but who's
Yeah, but we
stopping
talk
Giannis
about
though?
us.
Like,
Who's exactly? We
It
talk
ain't
about
just
seven
about
games against
Giannis.
the
Let
Bucks,
Giannis score 80. That's cool. Stop
fellas,
and you
like
could
everybody else.
lose.
No,
You're
stop.
trying to
The,
put me the
exactly.
last year, though.
stop.
Fellas, like
You
the
know
Stop
that
Lakers
everybody
judgment.
else.
mentality, but let the
You're
star
trying to.
score. Teams feed off their top star scoring. I don't know
Yep.
why coaches is going there talking about, oh, let this guy get his points. Okay, then. Because when this guy gets his points, you're not going to allow Giannis to score 60, 70. So by the time Giannis reach 120, 25 in the first half, now your whole defense has now collapsed. So that's what gives guys like Middleton these wide open trees and corner trees and these easy layups. That's what gives guys like Drew Holiday and
You
these guys easy buckets.
you say that,
Because you saying let dog score.
right, but you say
Until he
that
starts scoring, now you parry.
you say it as if Giannis could score every time he gets the ball. That's I don't. He's not that great.
Okay, who you putting on Giannis? If
It
you say
doesn't
Chicago
matter.
Bulls.
It doesn't
You
matter.
damn right. You damn right.
So you don't.
Giannis is not that guy. Well,
You don't think?
think about it. We not we who are we really talking about? We're not
This
talking about Will
nigga say
Chamberlain, bro.
Giannis is not this guy.
Giannis cannot score every single possession he gets the ball. There's no way.
If Giannis has got it 1-on-1, he would score every single
Every
time.
100% of the time. No,
Every
you're crazy.
who are you putting on
Every
him?
single time he's got 1-on-1,
Who are
he
you
will
putting on him?
score.
Give me one player you could put on him.
Every single time.
No,
Let's talk about the Bulls, specifically the Bulls.
Yeah,
no, but
specifically on
see,
the Bulls
the
team.
thing is,
Every single
it
time
doesn't matter.
Vucevic got him, bucket.
It
If
doesn't
Vujicic
matter
got
what
him, that's kills.
it doesn't matter what name we call because no one on the Bulls can hold Giannis. But
Yeah.
Giannis is not scoring. Giannis field goal percentage will not beat 100, bro. Come on, y'all being ridiculous.
Okay, it'll probably be
No,
80.
we're not
100?
obviously we're exaggerating that it's over 100, but I'm
Okay,
saying
so
he
it's
would score almost every single time on the floor. If you put him with single coverage, got on one person, he would score almost every single time on the floor. Now,
Yeah.
if you change that coverage and you say we can start doubling him, guess what you did?
and rotate.
Not now your game plan ain't the same no more. Your game plan is not let him score. Now your game plan is okay, we might have to stop him a little piece. We
Hmm.
have to stop him a little piece.
And
And once
rotate.
his game plan changes, now
Middleton
it
can
Exactly.
hit
allows
every
others to
shot he
go off.
touch. Middleton
Mil-
get once he passed,
No,
Middleton can
it
hit
allows
every
and
shot he
then
touch.
hold
others to
on.
go off.
But you don't even forget that. Don't make it seem like Milwaukee is a slouch defensive team. I don't care how good you feel Chicago
There
is.
wasn't.
Milwaukee's still a good defensive team.
Yeah,
And the
but not.
difference is when you miss, you make it seem like, well, what do you want to rotate? How you can rotate off a fast break? When you miss and Giannis them coming down that court, first man down, get your head dunk off.
No, you rotating on defense, so they're the ones with the ball. And then two, they're not as good as a defensive team as they were last year.
What missing?
What the signing name? Brook Lopez and PJ Tucker. They
Lopez
they
coming
they
back.
search they searching for someone now to fill
Yeah.
in Brook Lopez role. They just signed Boogie, eh? They just
You
signed
mean
Boogie to fill Brook Lopez role because he have back issues, I think. Yeah.
and could Boogie do it?
No.
Well, but anyway,
Boogie is
a pun,
there's a reason Boogie in the league. There's a reason right now that Boogie is
a pun.
dropping to be in the league. So they're not as good as a defensive team as they were in
There's a
previous.
reason why. Say that again.
It's a reason why Boogie is not in the league.
And you think it's because of his talent?
Defense,
You think he's not good enough to
his
be in the
ability,
league?
his ability on defensively, is he doesn't have the ability
Really?
to defend at a
Wow.
high level as he did.
Okay, compared to Brook Lopez.
Yes, so Brook Lopez is a better defender than Boogie at this point in his career. Yes,
Wow. Yeah.
So wait, I still trying to figure out why you think the Bulls could beat the Bucks. I still trying to figure that out.
we already disrespecting the Bulls, boy.
Right, the Bulls are a nice team. They're a nice team. You tell me if they could beat Boston, I may say yes. You tell me they could beat Miami, well, I probably wouldn't say yes to Miami.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you tell me,
I think Miami have a better matchup now. I think I
yeah.
watched that game against Miami. Miami have a better
So
matchup.
yeah, I don't think they could beat Miami. But hey, you tell me they could beat Who else in the East? Charlotte. Yeah, they probably
Why
could
you
beat
call him
Charlotte.
Charlotte? Listen, I'm not
Hey,
the only one who thinks it. I remember a sports analyst saying that the Bulls and the Nets will be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
hey,
Like
drunk.
this is. The,
Hey, drunk. If
I,
the
I'm
Bucks healthy, the Bulls ain't beat no Bucks, bro. They just
healthy
being
meaning
real with you.
for Gilbert's back.
No, they don't even mean that. If Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday healthy,
Maybe
the
not.
Bulls not beating them.
Okay.
Bulls
I
not
do
beating
think
them. I just being
the
real.
Bulls is not a complete team. They need another. They need to re up their front court.
They need size in the front
Yeah,
court.
yeah, they do. They do need some more size in the front court. I expect them to go searching, shopping for that before the trade deadline. But other than that, they're a very impressive team, and I could very well see them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Bro. I don't think they'd win, but I think they can make it to the third. I think their limit is the third round.
Yeah, I see them as a. I see us as Eastern Conference Finals, but again, something would have to shake to where maybe
The
the
Nets
Bucks and
beat the
Nets
Bucks or
play.
something.
Yeah, they play each other like that. You know what I mean? And then they could sneak in there. Um, but if they got to face one of them two dogs, you know, nah, man. Yeah, well, yeah, face them two veterans in the second round. So
Yeah, I can see them getting their head mashed off.
yeah, they get their head punch straight off. I guarantee you that they get their head bashed straight down. Um, but yeah, any final words before we sign off? I think we covered just about everything. Any final shoutouts?
Uh, well, shout out Solid Pods, Solid Network. Shout out,
Tom
uh,
Brady.
yeah, Tom Brady.
So,
Had a rough week. Stay healthy, big dog. Get some sign some fellas. Get some of your boys down there. Call Edelman. See if he's still in good shape. Edelman could come through and in these next 3 weeks get himself prepared for the playoffs. Um, yeah, shout out. It's been a long, rough year, but through it all, we made it through. Going into 2022, we looking for bigger and better things. Um, Shout out Pun, Shine, putting us on this platform. We ain't got to come in the studio and be exposed to all the other shines he's up through there. Doing whatever, so we could film our shows from the comfort of our home. Um, yeah, that's me.
shout out, um, shout out Kimber Walker, 21 points tonight as a starter
Ooh,
in a
thank
He
you.
win.
played a good game tonight. He played a good game tonight. We played the Pistons, but don't get
Exactly.
too don't get too happy with
Probably lose against the Pistons if they depend Kimber.
that.
Play 40 minutes. You must be trying to prove a point.
40 minutes for 20 points. Wow.
21 points. He's the playmaker. He ain't gonna be. Relax, bro.
Sheesh. Playmaker the who?
Shout out Gamble. He played a decent game tonight. Shout out the Soda Boards. Shout out the entire Soda Podcast Network. We got some big stuff coming for you. 2022. More guest appearances on the way. Pretty good guest appearances coming up as well. So y'all stay tuned for that. But yeah, we're gonna make this thing happen. We're gonna keep it rolling. Uh, Big thank you to everybody that came out to watch us. Don't forget to catch us Sunday as we preview those games for Week 16 of the NFL. That pod will be sponsored by Rev and Rev Trio. And yeah, until next time, we will catch you guys later. Experts out.
Yep.
I know you don't believe us when we say you are.
It's being each year straight right back troubling.
Because whenever I'm up all hours of the night, that's the ball that you're real.
Oh boy. Let me get back to my PS5 now. Y'all trying to interrupt my friggin' gaming session.
I guess get one of the PS5 and don't know how to hack it. Oh,
You know that? Hey, what? Christmas coming too, but yeah, I ain't got no reason to go outside.
Protect yourself from that. Those
Hmm?
stay inside. Protect yourself from COVID. Stay inside and play PS5.
Yeah, man, I quarantining. I off Tuesday. I get my drinks and my stuff for the weekend. And but yeah, I ain't seeing outside no more till Monday. Only thing we could get me outside is PPL. And they better don't hack up.
I gotta pay my flicking light bill now, Trey. That's what now.
Hey, better yeah, stay there then. uh, better come put them big bolt on your freaking on your meter box. uh,
You know, be bordering the politician and then while they want to border the small man.
yeah, man, it's a politician meter hard to get to. Is let them fellas put their meter in the back of the yard and stuff with their guard dog and all type of stuff. Yeah, all fellas stays cut off from the pole. They don't even come in your they guess they even come in the yard. They guess cut you. They cut your wife off from the pole. Uh,
And then you call customer service.